Can we all settle, please? Let's all settle and finish this session. So, yeah. So, for the speakers, just like the other session, we will encourage you to strictly observe time, strictly 10 minutes. That means that go straight to your talking points so that you don't leave out the key issues. The first presenter is Kioko Kivandi, Patrick Mutai, and Shitemi Kamadi. They're going to present on the question of fake news and its implications on democratic discourse among journalists in the 2022 general election. Wow, that's a very interesting topic. I didn't know that the concept of fake news is here in Kenya. Where are they? They're online. You don't know me. Oh, you are the, where are your other colleagues?
No, I'll present on their behalf.
Oh, okay. Okay. Karibu sana. Make it fake.
Just tell the others so that by the time you call,
oh, okay. And then the next after Kyoko is, and prepare yourself, Ongo Elido Kumu, followed by Amos Shihundu and Kivuva Ndeto. And then will be followed by Ruth and Ronald Kihali. And then finally James Mutua. If anybody has a paper ready, if they finish in time, the next 40 minutes, we will invite you to come and present.
Good morning. Hello? All right. So my time starts now? Okay. Asante sana. In the session we had just before we went for tea break, there's someone who presented on a topic that was touching on the title of the women rep. By the way, do you know that the Constitution does not have any title, does not have the woman rep title? It has the woman member of parliament. When we are training journalists, sometimes we tell them to avoid the woman rep representative title because sometimes it doesn't represent exactly the wishes and aspirations of the Constitution as far, as far as the vision of women representation is concerned. So perhaps that is also partly misinformation. And I thought I'd start from that point. I also start from the point of where Dr. Ogada left with respect to the meme that, had on one side the photo of the Chief Justice and the other side the photo of an ostrich, and say, perhaps, and I hope that by the time I am done with my presentation, you may realize that there's actually nothing absolutely wrong with the language of the 2022 presidential election verdict. What is the problem is the information ecosystem in which we are in, and that is actually the subject of fake news. Fake news in itself is actually an oxymoron because in real sense, news is that which can be, that which you can actually prove, okay? News is usually based on facts, but that which is fake is that which you cannot easily prove, okay? So sometimes it's usually even not even fair to talk about fake news because if it is fake, it is not news, all right? So what is fake news? Fake news is a message that contains wrong or false information but does not report the incorrectness of information. What then is not fake news? Part of it is that, unintentional misinformation or reporting mistakes, perhaps by journalists, all right? So sometimes, as the media, we usually get offended when we see someone who was misquoted, by a journalist, already just saying we will take that journalist to court, all right? Fake news gained traction in 2016, partly because of Donald Trump, who every now and then, every time he felt like he was not satisfied with a certain piece of information, he would just brand it fake news. But is it new? It is not new. It is as old as humanity. In fact, those of us who read the Bible, in the story of creation, the temptation in the Garden of Eden, where Satan, told Adam and Eve to eat, from the forbidden tree, that was actually part of misinformation. And actually, the Pope usually even picks that example and saying that those who perpetuate misinformation actually are acting like the snake. And it has been there. As when you follow it, you see the history of the printing press, and now we are in social media. The more you advance the information communication technology, the more fake news also advances. Close to 150 years ago, we trace it from there, but again in 1475, there was a publication of a sensational story that pitted Jews against Christians, and the story alleged that the torture and subsequent killing of a Christian boy by the Jewish community in Italy. And what followed is that there were retaliatory attacks against the Jews, and so on and so forth. There are other scholars who also look at fake news from the perspective of propaganda, so much so that then when we do that, we try to even trace it from the origins of the Great Wars, the First World War, and even if you follow even the history of the Hitler War and so on and so forth. But perhaps even scholars of international criminal justice will tell you every time we had a war, there was a propaganda tool. There was a propaganda machine that would push that war. In Kenya, for instance, in 2007, 2008, was the media blamed for perpetuating whatever happened? You know better than me. In Rwanda, again, you know better than me. And if you follow that chain of thoughts of looking at fake news as propaganda, perhaps you may want to reflect that there has been propaganda in colonial Africa, in post-colonial